Oh boy. The Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals is making waves lately after recently invalidating the bump stock ban and some other pretty spicy decisions. They have waded into the fray by now upholding a law that prevents a physician from giving an abortion to a baby with Down syndrome if the physician knows that the mother is making the choice based on the child having Down syndrome. And this is extremely controversial and may even be a path towards a Supreme Court case on abortion rights. Let's talk about why. I'm Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. I'm a lawyer, but I'm also a legal and political commentator here on YouTube. So if you like that stuff, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Okay. So here's the article. It's from CNN Politics. It'll be down in the description if you want it. I'm mostly using it for the headline because this is a topic that we don't need the gist of the article. I'll be reviewing this decision in some upcoming live streams because I think this is going to be a catalyst for a massive debate over abortion rights in this country. And specifically, that catalyst is going to cover some very uncomfortable realities about the abortion industry, and this is one of them. So, Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals hearing en banc. So this is a 9-7 ruling. That means there's 16 judges hearing this case, and the 9-member majority over the 7 dissenting opinions has prevailed, and that upholds this law. The law says that a physician cannot perform an abortion if the physician knows that the mother is choosing the abortion because the baby has Down syndrome. And this has a lot of questions involved in it, like, well, how do we know that they know? What does knowledge mean? Is there a test? Like, what is prompting the conversation? All of these things, that's to be worked out by Ohio state courts as they start to sculpt the law around this law, I guess. But they're saying you don't get to do eugenics through abortion. And that is a pretty bold statement. Now, why might this lead to the abortion debate actually going to the Supreme Court on this? That's because a different Circuit Court of Appeals just recently ruled in the opposite direction, striking down a different state's ban on abortion of Down syndrome babies. But this is part of the problem, right? Is eugenics something that we want in this country to the point where we determine that certain babies aren't worth living? That's the question. And if you don't know about this, and you want to be depressed, I guess go Google it. But if you look up the amount of Down syndrome babies that are aborted, it is astronomically higher than pretty much any other demographic. It is literally parents and doctors deciding that this child's life will not be valuable enough to let it live. And that's something that our society has to decide whether or not it's comfortable with, and it's an ugly reality of abortion law and this idea of abortion rights. Rights which, might I add, are not in the Constitution at all and were manufactured whole cloth in Roe versus Wade, an extremely controversial decision that has been called a bad legal decision by such conservative stalwarts as Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Roe versus Wade is a bad court decision. There's really no way about it. People can be divided over the effect that it's had. You can think that it's produced good results. You can think that it's produced bad results. What you cannot do is honestly look at Roe versus Wade and say, you know what? That was a good interpretation of the Constitution and what the founders meant when they wrote the 4th and 9th Amendments. No, I'm sorry. Let's just dispense with that immediately. It wasn't a good constitutional take by the court. It's a terrible take, and its legacy somehow as an unassailable right is not is not a result of its sound jurisprudence. It's a result of political pressure and absolute political bullying from one particular side of the aisle, and that has been going on since the decision back in the 60s. And we are stuck with its legacy today, even as courts have slightly clarified and whittled it down from its original states. The interesting thing about this is that Roe versus Wade is an unnecessary decision. There is no federal ban on abortions, and abortions being controlled state by state is actually probably more in line with what the founders wanted. That was the issue in Roe versus Wade. Texas wanted to ban abortion. Other states didn't. And we still see that same dynamic today. Some states want to ban abortion, other states don't, and they want to have open access to it. And that's fine. That's actually an okay thing for us to do. And yes, there are random consequences that come with that, people traveling to get these abortions and stuff. But at the end of the day, so what? Let the states decide. Let the people who live in those states decide what they want to allow in regards to their future citizens. And that's the key here, in my opinion. It's always been the key here. We get wrapped up in these questions about doctors' rights. We get wrapped up in these questions about women's rights. But somewhere lost in the whole thing is the idea that the baby that will be born and will become a person has rights too. Those rights are never considered. They have no advocate. The only advocate are outside groups, because nobody in the abortion process gets to advocate for the third party with the biggest impact on their life, the one that gets ended. There is no required guardian ad litem to make sound arguments in favor of the baby living to the mother and with the doctor. Nobody's there to do it. That's what these laws actually are about. These laws are the state intervening on behalf of a child that is not born yet. And you may not think that that child deserves rights. That's a fine sort of opinion for you to have, but you have to realize what you're saying when we're making the argument, because so many people in this argument forget the critical third party. And it blows my mind that this conversation is allowed to go on like this, but that's, again, because of extreme politicized badgering from the pro-choice side of this debate. And it always has been, and it's going to remain that way for a long time. So I'm really interested to see this. We now have a circuit split between these two circuits. The Sixth Circuit says, yeah, you can prevent doctors from aborting a baby when they know that the cause of the abortion is that the baby's been diagnosed with fetal Down syndrome. And then you've got the other circuit court saying, no, you cannot prevent these abortions. The question here is, are we going to allow tailor-made babies? Is abortion the vehicle to eugenics? Abortion started as a eugenics program. Are we going to let it continue as a eugenics program? And if we are, because guess what? It still is. Look at the locations of Planned Parenthoods and look at the statistics behind the demographics of abortion, and you will see some of the saddest pictures of racism in our country going on right now, and no one's talking about it because it's a wonderful issue of a certain political caste. But that being said, abortion has always been a eugenics program. The fact that we don't call it a eugenics program doesn't change the practical realities around it. The question is, in this country, are we okay with a eugenics program that involves the termination of life in the womb? And if we are okay with that, let's be open and upfront about what it is. If we want to eliminate Down syndrome babies through abortion, then let's just be honest about it. Personally, I think all life has value, and it's not I don't get to determine the value of someone else. And by the way, no one should get to determine the value of your life either. Only you. You get to make that value. I think we should let kids have a chance to make that value for themselves. But that's me. You're free to have your own opinion. Why don't you drop it down in the comments below and let me know what's going on? Either way, this is a spicy one. I'm going to be covering this case in upcoming live streams, which are at 11 p.m. Central Time every weeknight. So come check one out. All right, guys. Until next time, peace. Peace.